Hello everyone, Hex the Tank Engine 18 here back again with another Thomas and Friends wooden railway review. And today we're going to be looking at the new 2022 wooden railway Edward. I'm honestly pretty happy that I got this because I know that Edward is a favourite among many people in the Thomas fandom. And I do have to agree that he is one of the best characters in the series. Let's get started by looking at the box as per usual. Once again with this new box we get a nice picture of Edward on the front as well as the Thomas Wooden Railway logo next to it. The top of the box has the logo again as well as a straight piece of track and Edward's name in different languages. The sides of the box also have the logo and the FSC information thing. The back of the box has some information in different languages and the bottom of the box has the copyright on it which is dated 2021. Just like all the other boxes in this new range, it has a sliding tray feature so you can see the engine inside. I also think this is useful to check for any factory errors on your engine. Diesel here for example. You okay bud? Can you hear me? Now before we get on to Edward, here is the pamphlet that comes with every engine in the range. Here we can see the engines from both Wave 1 and 2. And here is Edward out of the box. Edward was released a few months ago this year as part of the second wave along with Henry, Toby, Emily, Kenji and the Troublesome Trucks. And honestly, I just love him. He has to be one of the best models in this new range as well as one of my favourites in my opinion. Let's look at Edward himself. Just like some of the other engines in this new range, he has the season 23 looking details such as the rivets on himself and his tender, but this is quite strange because in the 23rd season he never actually got these details, he was just left as he was. The same thing applies with Henry, Toby and Diesel in this range, but it's kind of interesting to see Edward with these kind of details if he even got them in the 23rd season. And some of his proportions look near perfect too in my opinion. I don't really see many issues with him, but if I had to think of one it would be that his boiler is a bit thin, but it doesn't bother me too much. And he also has that nice looking firebox glow in his cab like all the other engines, which I still like very much. He has some footplate detail as well as side rods that are positioned above the driving wheels. He has moulded splashes too, which look better than Gordon's, and he also has boiler detail with stripes and handrails, although I wish they printed some on the smokebox too. He also has a moulded dome, and the funnel looks nicely detailed too. Now for the front. Like all the other engines, he has a printed buffer beam which looks very nice and much better than the wood version. And the face expression he has is a shocked looking one. I wouldn't say it's a bad choice for a face, I just think it's a bit questionable. I would have preferred it if he had a regular smiling face like Emily and Hero, but it still looks like Edward to me. The eyes and mouth were also printed on as usual. And the back is just plain, which is just normal for most engines. And now for the elephant in the room, the updated wheel arrangement. I think this is such a big improvement because this looks exactly like Edward's wheel arrangement in the show, with the two small leading wheels at the front and the two big driving wheels at the back. The new wheels are designed with printed spoke detailing, and again they do look a bit weird on the front, but in different angles they're not too bad. All previous versions of the wooden Edward had a Percy style chassis with four wheels, which looked kind of odd to me, but I'm glad they went ahead with this new wheel arrangement. The bottom here has the new bogies which are made of plastic instead of wood, and on this one it has Edward's name printed on vertically as well as the Thomas steam cloud and the product code. And that's pretty much it for the engine. Now for the tender. This tender is a much smaller one with four small wheels like the previous ones. It's not really the same length as other tenders like Gordon and Henry's, but like I said in my Gordon review, I quite like this aesthetic for smaller tender engines like Edward and James, and if you're not really a fan of the smaller tenders then that's fine by me. The tender also has the rivet detailing like I've said earlier, and also has moulded coal. The chassis is made of plastic like the bogies on the engine and has Edwards tender, the steam cloud and the codes printed on. Now let's compare this new Edward to the 2013 one I got a few years ago. I've already talked about the wheel arrangement on the previous Edwards, but I still think they're alright. You can see that there is such a major difference between the two models, especially with the sizes and the wheels, but there isn't too much of a difference between the tenders, to be honest. And now let's compare the new Edward to the 2020 Wood Edward. Again, there is such a big difference between the two. The Wood Edward itself isn't bad. There are some issues with it, such as no dome outline and the tender literally being a block of wood like every single other tender in the wood range. But if you like the Wood Edward more than I do, then that's fine with me too. So overall, I think this new Edward has to be one of the best models in this new range in my opinion, as well as the best version of Edward in the whole wooden range. And again, Mattel have really stepped up their game on these new wooden engines. I give this a 9 out of 10 because despite some questionable things like the face, I still think this is a very good representation of Edward, and I am so happy to have him in my collection. And I totally recommend this to anyone who is a fan of Edward like me, and the wooden railway range too. And that was my review on the 2022 Wooden Railway Edward. I hope you all enjoyed it, and please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content in the near future. And I'll see you all next time. This is Hex the Tank Engine 18 signing out.